Welcome to the Notorious Scoundrels, a Star Wars Legion podcast bringing you the latest news, general perspective, and competitive discussion.
Hello and welcome back to the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. I'm Kyle. I'm here with Mike and Zach. What's up, gentlemen?
I don't know. World's strange these days, Kyle. I don't know.
That is, yes,
yeah,
accurate.
I mean, I learned a life lesson as my mouth is full of Cheez-Its is never leave a box of Cheez-Its next to your computer, because I spend a lot of time at this computer, and all I've been doing when I sit at the computer is just put my hand in that box and just occasionally grab those Cheez-Its.
Well, then that's not a terribly clean food to eat. Like, you're gonna get like Cheez-It powder all over your keyboard and.
Oh no, I got like a towel next to me. I'm prepared. I just nice little wipe down.
This sounds like a little bit premeditated.
This sounds like Cheeto fingers. What this sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've learned that during these times that I've reverted to like 15-year-old me. I went like 5 years without playing like video games intensely. I'm now playing video games intensely. And along with that is just junk food. I don't know what it is. It's just a natural habitat to just eat junk food while you play video games. While drinking soda. Now, I don't drink soda. I haven't gotten that far yet. But it's just like one of those things. It's just like a natural thing. I just grab a couple Cheez-Its, and I'm fueled up, ready to go. Needless to say, I need to take these Cheez-Its and throw them out the window so I don't keep eating them.
Yo, so what kind of Cheez-Its are they?
They are just regular whole grain ones.
Okay. So next time you go to the grocery store or order on Instacart or whatever, get the white cheddar Cheez-Its. You'll thank me later.
Yeah, I'll thank you later and be like, Mike, I said I didn't want to eat the damn Cheez-Its. Now I'm eating another brand of Cheez-Its.
Yep.
You guys are really making me want to eat Cheez-Its.
The white cheddar ones are so good. So good.
All right, Mike, we got any housekeeping today?
Housekeeping? Yeah, I think so.
Housekeeping?
So, yeah, we have some sweet housekeeping today. So, the Fifth Trooper Network is releasing their first board game. It's called Cubicle Raiders. It was designed by Jay, and I did a little work on it too, and just about everybody at the Fifth Trooper has had some sort of hand in it, whether it be playtesting or just kind of throwing ideas at it, things like that. And we will be putting that up. We are not going to do pre-orders for it. What we're going to do is we're going to kickstart it on our website, basically. So we're going to be kind of setting a threshold for how many orders we need to actually produce and ship it. And that'll be up on the website, I think, pretty shortly here. So be on the lookout for that. It's pretty awesome, like I don't know, like 20 to 30 minute like beer and chips kind of game that you probably play in between your Twilight Imperium or Legion games, So yeah, it's pretty cool, and be on the lookout for that. I think outside of that, we don't have.
I was gonna say, interrupt you real quick.
Go for it.
Interrupt you real quick. The game is a lot of fun. I play tested it like once or twice with Mike and Bushman. Okay, but I'm bringing this up because it's kind of a funny story. Real quick, we're play testing it. I told my wife that I was going to do something that day. Her mother was in town, and she went to go get pizza or something like that. And I was like, "Hey, Mike, I got like an hour before my wife gets home. Like, why don't we rip like a game? We can play test this, because I knew the game's only like 20 to 30 minutes." So we start playing it. And like 20 minutes in, we're like almost done. The door opens and my wife walks in, and she sees me sitting there on the computer playing this game. And she's like, "What are you doing? I told you to do this." And I'm like, "You said you'd be gone for an hour. I thought I could get a game in with Mike." And needless to say, it was a fun time. And me, you, and Bushman were going for the throat at a couple of stages of the game, which was always fun when playing games with people. But it's an interesting concept. I think it's a fun game. I was glad we got to get a couple tests in, and I'm excited to see the full thing. Not at the expense of my wife killing me, though.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. We've been working on this. Jay has had this kind of in production for I think a couple years now. It kind of fell on the back burner. We kind of reignited it a few months back, and we kind of put the pedal to the metal on kind of expediting the kind of all of the different things that we have to do to get it off the ground. So it's finally ready to go. We've got copies that'll be sent out to reviewers and stuff, I'm sure, in the near future here, so be on the lookout. It'll be up on the site. I'm sure we'll have more information for you as we kind of move forward, but that is a new thing that is coming to the Fifth Trooper Network, so I hope everybody enjoys it, and just stay tuned.
Awesome. All right, well, we are going to talk about Legion today. We had some very significant spoiler articles last week about the clone and separatist specialist packs. So let's dive in there.
It's time for Legion 101. Class is in session.
So we're going to do this like hot or not style, which I think is on the episode that I missed. So maybe you guys can walk me through how this works, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, so how this is gonna work, I guess, Dad, is that we're gonna call a unit out, and somebody's gonna say, "Is it hot or is it not?" And you're gonna tell us if it's hot or is it not. So why don't I start with the questions here, and let's start with everybody's favorite faction, the Grand Army of the Republic. So we've got new specialists. So we in this pack we've got a clone commander, we've got a clone medic, we've got a clone repair guy, and a clone comms guy, right? So Zach, Kyle, why don't you go first? Because you didn't get to do hot or not with us last time. Clone commander, unit upgrade, 55 points. Is he hot or is he not?
Sorry, are we talking about the personnel upgrade or the commander standalone unit?
The 55-point commander standalone unit.
Okay, hot. I mean, I think that this guy should be in every single Republic list, at least as a one of. He has a command slot, which you can put Vigilance in, which we'll talk about later. He has Direct, which is Direct is basically Entourage without the extra slot. So you get a free order every turn, which of course you can give to fives, and then fives can bounce it to someone else. So it's potentially really 2 free orders every turn. Bolster is kind of, I mean, it's fine, I guess. But you're going to be probably aim dodging on this guy most of the time because a dodge token is better than 2 surge tokens, given that you're mostly probably swimming in surge tokens already. He's got 3 black dice at range 3 with sharpshooter 1. So that's obviously a strong attack. You compare him to like the Civil War commanders, who granted are 10 less points, but they have like a pistol with a black and a white dice at range 1 to 2. It's like, all right.
Yeah, it's not.
And they have white saves. He has red saves, same health. He's got a command, a training, and a gear slot. You're probably not filling the training or the gear slot. You might put situational awareness in the training slot if you're doing like a degenerate vigilance dodge spam list, which will be a thing. But yeah, he's real good. I like to call this guy Commander Chad because when you compare him to his Civil War counterparts, it's not particularly close.
All right, Zach, what do you think? Is this guy hot or not?
He's absolutely effing scorching, and it's been driving me nuts since I saw the news. Because like Kyle, I kind of agree that he's basically an auto include in all Gar lists, which makes me, I don't like ever saying anything's an auto include, right? I just don't like saying those words. But like, how do you not include this in your list? I just don't see how you don't. A direct alone is worth the points, right? Like on top of all the other things he can bring to the table with the command slots and vigilance and which we'll get to and all that stuff. But like direct is ridiculously good for what it does in this army, because most of the time you bring in fives, and like Kyle said, you're getting 2 orders out of direct, and that's pretty good on clones. So yeah, he's scorching hot. Scorching.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think this guy is busted. I don't know. I also think maybe we'll talk about the generic Republic command cards later that come along with this guy that make Rex even better. But
I actually just was thinking if you pair him with Rex and you use Direct, you get another order off for Clankers. Okay? Like, but now I'm sitting here and also thinking that now that Kyle, I just brought up that his gun was range 3. I was so miffed by all the other stuff. I didn't realize his gun's range 3 black at range 3 with sharpshooter 1. That seems like a pretty good fire support platform at range 4.
Well,
I don't know.
It's worth noting that he like doesn't surge, so he's not innately like a super good fire support platform. With that being said, 3 dice sharpshooter 1 is like not terrible for a hero. It's questionably better than like what Han is doing often.
Because it's range 3. Yeah,
it's range 3, and you're not shaving your pool in half in cover, right? Like, I don't know. It's interesting. I think, yeah, this guy's just getting stuck into every clone list ever. Basically, if you were gonna take a naked phase 1, you're not. You're taking this guy. Like, end of story. It's not close.
Yeah, he's a clone, right? So he can share tokens. So he already does what that 52-point unit does for 3 more points. But then you also get the free order, you get the command slot, and you get a courage bubble. So think of him like your naked phase 2, and for plus 3 points, you get all those things. I think there are also some list structures where you just replace R2 with him, which is kind of saying something.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think like it's notable that like clones were already like hitting 4 orders on basically every turn other than their 1-pip turn, right?
Yeah, now because of 5s.
And now on your 1-pip turn, like you're at minimum 3, right? Because you've got whoever you're giving an order to, this guy's passed an order to 5s, and then 5s has just created a new one, right? So
yep.
So like you are like a minimum 3 orders
just
every turn.
Which go full degenerate and put HQ uplink on 5s, and now you got 4 orders. So it's just it's like, oh no, it'd still be 3. No,
you'd have to put the HQ uplink on somebody else, right? Which is fine. Like you could do that. It just I mean, 3 is good enough when you're talking about like ways to abuse aggressive tactics, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, 3 orders off 1-pip. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's not droid good, but that's also like, the droid version of token sharing, right? That's what droids do, is they have face-up orders. So clones have token sharing, and now they have 3+ face-up orders a turn.
Yeah, I mean, I think on 3-pip turns, like you're just gonna have like 5 to 6 face-up order tokens on your clones, and it's gonna whatever. Cool. So let's take a look. Let's do the command cards next. We've already seen synchronized offensive. There is a new 2-pip for a new generic 2-pip for clones. It is called Air Support. Its commander or heavy unit is issued an order, Republic only, once this round at the end of the activation of a friendly commander clone trooper unit or friendly field commander unit. It may perform an attack using the following weapon: 4 to infinity, red, black, beam to immune deflect. Kyle, is this hot or is this not?
I mean, Rex can take it for starters. Like this is just going to replace push basically, because you don't have trouble with orders because of direct and 5s, as we just talked about. It's essentially free. Like this is a straight upgrade over push in most contexts. It's also worth noting you can give this to a saber if you want, and the saber can do the bombard instead of a. I mean, I don't see that happening very often, mostly because I don't see people taking a lot of sabers, but. It's basically coordinated bombardment. The guy doesn't have sharpshooter 2 like Leia does, but both Rex and the generic clone have sharpshooter 1. So it's 3 dice 3 times with sharpshooter 1. It's pretty good.
Zach, thoughts?
Scorching hot.
He's like whispering because he doesn't want to say it.
I'm a Republic player, right? And even I have had a hard time looking at some of this stuff and being like,
Dude, you're a Republic player. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's what he just said. He said, "I'm a
saying.
Republic
Oh,
player."
I thought
I
you
am a
said I'm
Republic
not a
player,
Republic player. Okay.
And I've had a hard time digesting some of the things that I've read in this pack, as you both have known for the since it's released. I've had a hard time digesting some of these things. So Beam, in this instance, is really good because the only time have seen Beam is on a 30-point weapon profile on the Saber tank that you don't want to take because it's only 2 red dice and the most you're probably doing is putting down a suppression. You're not only getting Beam here, but you're getting it with Sharpshooter and an extra die. And it's a free attack. I just don't like, what is there not to like about this card? Especially when you are getting orders out, like you said, Kyle. Like, you're probably bringing it with both Rex and the generic. You're tossing orders out regardless. You're gonna have 3 orders down probably because of how you're setting up your list. And yeah, it's just it's just really good. I mean, especially as a 2-pip, right? If you and again, I bring this up because I don't think fire support is necessarily fire support is still a very niche thing. I don't think you should be fire supporting often, right? But I could definitely see a case where you might fire support that first attack to try and wipe something and then beam off of it. And you can time it with the way you have your orders that the unit that you're fire supporting with, you're okay with fire supporting with them. Like, it's a unit that's already in the front that can throw some extra dice in there and you're just really pummeling something. I mean, ideally, what you're doing is you're bringing this with Rex and the generic, and Rex is the one shooting it, so you can have surge crit, right? And I can understand obviously doing it with the generic too. There's definitely good reasons to do it with the generic, but if you're doing this with Rex, you're getting surge critical, which makes this 3 times better, right? So yeah, it's hot. It's not even close to even being cold.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that I think this card is somewhat stronger than it looks. I think as soon as you look at it, you're like, oh my god, it's coordinated bombardment. It's notable that it is much more restrictive than that. Beam, it has some significant restrictions in the targets that you can pick, right? Coordinated bombardment, you're like, if I can see it, I can shoot it. With this one, you have to pick one target and then pick things that are close to it. So if they put a strike team out in, no way across the battlefield or whatever, you probably can't beam something, which is relevant here as far as how much damage this card does. So I do think it's super hot. I think this basically could have a picture of Rex in the top right corner, and I think that it would be maybe a little bit more telling and apt as to how this card is going to play out on the table, because Zach, I think you're right. I think Surge Crit is pretty amazing. Don't have to spend Surge tokens on this. Great. Yeah, pretty good. So let's move on to the 3-pip, which is Attack of the Clones, another generic. It orders 3 clone troopers. Rank is not identified there, so, basically any infantry-based clone army that doesn't include Jedi. Republic only. When a unit is issued an order using this card, it either gains 1 surge token or removes 1 suppression token. Kyle, hot or not? Kyle, you are muted.
I was muted. I'm sorry. Hot. Yeah, the effect is fine, but it's more just that if you're running a list that's all clones, which is essentially going to be almost any Rex list, it's just a straight upgrade over Assault, right? You're getting 3 surge tokens off of it. You have the flex to be able to remove suppression if you want to do that. It's fine. It's good. It's Assault plus free surge tokens. So,
Zach, thoughts?
I mean, you're getting the tokens that you like in Republic, which is surge tokens. You have the option to use it later in the game and remove suppression tokens, which not necessarily a problem for Republic sometimes. I like the one thing I like about Republic 3-pip so far is that Rex's 3-pip and this 3-pip are cards that you don't necessarily need to play round 1 or 2. and you can kind of play them later, and it feels okay. Yeah, you'll probably lose priority, but the benefits that you're getting from both cards kind of benefit you better later in the game. Like Rex's Recover, like that usually benefits you later. Like I'm not talking like round 6 here, but like a mid round play on that card's not terrible, right? Because you're getting that free Recover and you're getting a bunch of orders out and you're setting up some stuff. So I think both 3 picks that you're going to bring in clone armies are very flexible. In terms of like a Kenobi list, I don't see. I could see a case for bringing it and playing it turn 1 and not worrying about Kenobi being like timing neutral, right? And getting him in a safe space, and basically use this as like an assault burn card to throw that out there. Because basically it's assault plus, right? You're just hindered to putting on a clone trooper. But like you play this first round and then you play General Kenobi second round, and you basically insulated all your clones with surge tokens for the first 2 rounds. Seems pretty good. So yeah, it's hot.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think that all of the. I think that this card, along with the direct and like 5s combo, actually kind of makes a case for phase 1s, along with the like points changes we've seen. Like you can actually have like a decent number of phase 1s and not take phase 2s and still have a copious amount of surge tokens at this point on most of your turns. So I think that this is really interesting in that regard. Clearly you don't get the courage to in the training slot, but I don't know. Definitely pretty good. So we've got 3 more things in this pack that we're gonna let's kind of like expediently go through these because there's not much to say about them. I feel like unless you have something specific to say about them, clearly. Next up is the Clone Medic, 20 points. It is Treat 1, Capacity 1, which is a little bit different than we've seen before. Normally, medics are Treat 1, Capacity 2. The primary difference here is that most medics up until this point have had non-combatant. This does not, which means it adds to your die pool. So it'll add a black die to whatever unit it is in when they're shooting. So, Kyle, what do you think?
I think not. 20 points is just a lot for a medic. I get that it's not a non-combatant, which is not nothing, right? You're adding a die in there. Not having to remove him last as a casualty is also important. Like once you've burned that charge on a normal medic, they're the second last thing to die besides the leader, which means your heavy weapon is getting stripped when you've got 3 models left. That's not true of this guy, so clearly that's a benefit. But if you're buying a medic, you're buying them to heal someone else, right? So while it is nice that he's not a non-combatant and can do stuff, points are tough to come by in a Republic list. And I guess I could see like an Obi-Wan list maybe where you throw this guy in there and then you just roll the dice and go YOLO on Guardian with Obi-Wan, and you shore up your blanks with this guy. But generally speaking, I don't know. I would just rather have any number of other clone upgrades instead.
Zach, what are you thinking?
It's a not. I think first of all, capacity 1, Treat 1, Capacity 1 is a hindrance for 20 points. And I get why. Obviously, Kyle hit on it. They can shoot, and it's different than other medics. The only instance I could see taking it might be, like you said, Obi-Wan, or maybe like a full arc skew that doesn't want to lose arcs, because when you lose full arcs, it hurts. The issue is the 20 points. You're basically like losing heavy weapons at that point by bringing in a medic. And I don't know if you listen to us enough or not, but like heavy weapons are kind of the bread and butter of most lists, other than not named droids, I guess. But they are in a lot of droid lists too. Don't get me wrong. But heavy weapons are what you need, and 20 points is basically shaving one off, and I just don't think it's worth it. Yeah, I'm going not.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys on this. I do think that like there could be some like corner cases where like you said, Kyle, like Kenobi lists may want one of these or two of these or whatever. It's tough to stomach one medic charge for like the cost of a Z6 though. It's I don't know. It's pricey. All right, so moving on, we are going to take a look at the Clone Engineer. Basically the same deal as the Clone Medic, except it's 18 points instead of 20. Repair 1, Capacity 1. It is a combatant, so it gets to shoot. Kyle, I imagine you're going to say a lot of what you just said, but what do you think?
I mean, even more strongly not here, just because your targets are sabers and barks, basically. And R2 can also do this much more efficiently, because you're potentially taking R2 anyway. You're certainly taking R2 if you're running a saber anyway. So, I don't know. I don't see that. I can't imagine taking this guy in almost any context. Like, I can't think of a list where I'd want this guy.
You forgot ATRTs, the bread and butter of the
Oh, yeah.
Army.
I guess they can.
Butter of the clones. You
I guess
hit it right
have-
on the head there, Zach.
You mean another unit that doesn't have the Clone Trooper keyword?
Yeah. Fat no for me. Just take R2. If you're gonna bring a saber tape, bring R2 and spend these 18 points elsewhere. I think it's just as simple as that. Just like I hate saying that something is an auto include. I feel like this is like an auto not include. Like, I hate saying it, but like those 18 points can be spent so much better in a saber list. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think this bad boy could be capacity 2, and you would still not take him for the same points. I think this is more. I think this is less of an issue with, repair and him being a personnel upgrade and stuff, and more that just like vehicles are not very good in the clone lists right now in comparison to what you can be doing, and I think that's the kind of nuts and bolts of that conversation. So. The last upgrade in the clone pack here is the Clone Comms Technician. This guy is a combatant, but I think all the technicians have been up till this point. I don't think they've had the non-combatant keyword. And this guy you gain a comm slot. He's 12 points, and you have to equip a comms upgrade card. Thoughts, Kyle?
Just take 5s. If you want to do this, right?
Well, I'm going to counter with saying hot because you take him with 5s in a phase 1 and you go real degeneracy.
Yeah, but you can just direct to 5s and then you get the same thing.
Yes, but you also give yourself the opportunity to direct other units and get more orders up on a certain turn.
You could do some silly like 5 times take that clankers thing with this, I guess. But
you're also taking
I don't know.
You're taking a phase 1 and making it 8 black dice with courage 2 and an order that can pass another order at any given time. The issue is that it becomes a little pricey. It's 58, so it's about 110 points, I think, right off the top of my head. So that's a lot. But I don't know. You might have the room for it. I'd have to build it out. I haven't built it out yet. But
yeah, I think if you're throwing him in 5s, if you want to throw personnel in 5s, you take the specialists so you can have the aim token for clankers on 5s.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah, so I think there is room for this. I don't know if it's good. I think the one place that this could be good is in a Clankers Alpha list. It's notable that this guy is actually cheaper than the Phase 2 Clone Trooper. And if you have like 4 or 5 Phase 2s and you're giving 1 with 5s in order, and then you're 2 more get an order generically, right? So you can hand 3 out normally on a take that clankers turn. You could theoretically uplink 2 more and be kind of sitting pretty with like 5 Z6s. They can all have offensive push stapled to them with clankers. Is it good? I don't know. It's kind of all in. I think that'll be a wait and see sort of thing. But yeah, so this specialist pack for the clones, do we want to talk about Vigilance now or do we want to talk about Vigilance later?
So I think we should actually save Vigilance for next week. Because I think Vigilance has extremely strong implications for Republic, but also for Rebels.
Yeah.
And I would go so far as to say that every Republic and or Rebels list should find a way to incorporate Vigilance somehow.
That's strong. That sounds like what Kyle is saying. Let's talk about it next week. You guys could talk about it next week, but right now I'm saying it's hot.
Oh, he's saying it's scorching hot.
So yeah,
scorching hot.
If we're talking just hot or not, clearly hot. But I guess my point is, I don't want to get into like a protracted Vigilance discussion because I think it has profound list building implications for two factions that are extremely significant. And I think we could do not an entire episode, but a significant portion of an episode just on that one card. And I think we should do that next week.
Yeah.
But hot is my short take on Vigilance.
Super hot.
super
hottest card in this pack.
100%.
I'm being honest.
I don't know if I feel that strongly about it, but I guess we'll see. For those that are unaware, Vigilance is a new commander upgrade that allows you to retain dodge tokens past the end of a turn on one or two units, depending on the criteria you meet, which is pretty strong. So, does one of the two of you want to take us through Separatists, or do we want to save that for next week too?
No, we can do Separatists real quick. I don't think Separatists will take as long.
No, I don't think so
Personally.
either. It's actually pretty basic, I think.
Not in a bad way. There's good stuff in here, but
there's just not a ton to say, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do Separatists real quick.
So, all right, we have the Separatists T-Series tactical droid. I think we've actually already seen, first of all, I guess let's back up. Did we talk about the Clone Commander personnel upgrade?
We didn't, but not. Let's move on.
Okay, great. Yeah, totally agree. It's a not. Conversely, though, I do think that the T-Series tactical droid upgrade card, which is 18 points, 1 to 3, red. You lose AI attack, you gain reliable 1. You know, Kyle, you've been talking about it a lot lately. What do you think?
Definitely hot. So this was actually previewed. We've known about this one for a while. This was previewed when this pack was announced at Gen Con. Great in B2 units. I have used it recently. It is hilarious and great. And it allows you to field like as many B2s as you want, basically without having, the same kind of like AI and order issues that normally would plague B2s, right? Because they don't have coordinate. It essentially turns a B2 into an independent unit. So you can kind of ignore the typical separatist restriction of having to cluster all your core units close to each other. And you can use them more like a conventional, like the other three factions can just drop core trooper units wherever they need to, basically, and have them operate independently. So Colone's not as much just because of token sharing, but you can use them like a rebel trooper unit or like a stormtrooper unit and just have them wherever you need them, basically. And he also adds a red dice at range 3, which when you pair with the B2 HA is 3 red and a white at range 3 with blast, which clearly is pretty good. And then the range 2 pool is essentially an ATST plus a white dice with blast, so and reliable. So he's great for B2s. The downside, and it is like an actual downside, especially if you take him en masse, and it's worth keeping this in mind if you're trying him with lots of B2s, is that he does only have 1 wound. And he is the unit leader, which means in theory, if you scope him, like if you only kill, if you kill the T-Series or you kill the T-Series plus like one other guy, you run the potential of losing 2 wounds for 1. So like if you cause 1 wound only to the T-Series and he replaces a B2, then you've just caused 2 wounds. Now, the times when that, like it happens occasionally, if you're running 4 to 6 B2s, it's going to happen probably once or twice a game, even if you're being careful. It is worth noting there that a lot of times, even though he might get like scoped, quote unquote, it doesn't really come into play and that the wounds are overkilled. So for example, like if he's the only model you can see and you cause 2 wounds, you haven't actually like caused extra wounds, because that one extra wound is still lost, and then he replaces a B2. So it's only like if you scope him and you cause exactly one wound that you get like or if he gets force choked, that you get like a 2-for-1 situation. But even there, I think like with force choke, you're probably better off just choking the heavy so that they have to remove the heavy the next time they take a wound. So it's just worth keeping in mind when you're doing your cohesion with T-Series, is that you actually have to like protect the T-Series like you would a heavy weapon upgrade, which you're not used to doing with unit leaders. I wouldn't take him on B1s, I don't think. I don't really see a reason to take him on B1s, but great on B2s.
Zach, thoughts?
I'm gonna go tepid. I'm gonna go in between. I don't necessarily think he's hot. I don't necessarily think he's not. And what I mean by that is I do agree in the sense of what Kyle was talking about. I do think that he's hot when you pair him with B2s. That said, I don't know if we're going to see a lot of people run a lot of B2s, at least the way that Kyle's thinking. It's yet to be seen, right? I need to see it first to actually be in that camp where you reside, Kyle, is how I feel. I do think that while what you're talking about is really good, and I do agree that it's very, very good, droid players are very used to their coordinate chain and how the army functions, and this kind of takes that away. You're used to it because you've played other factions like Rebels, where you don't care about, your corps getting, orders and how it all functions. And I could see why you would like a full B2 army. It's definitely something you've dealt with. But I don't think that's the case for everyone. So that's why I'm kind of in between, and why I think I need to see it in action and see how many people play it before I could say it's hot. So I just can't bring myself to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on team tepid, and I think it could be really good. But I think it is only good in the B2 spam shenanigans. So, let's talk about its big brother, so to speak, the T-Series tactical droid, 55-point companion to the clone commander. Basically the same sort of thing. He's got 4 wounds, except he's on white armor saves instead of red. He's got Sharpshooter 1. He's got direct Droid Trooper, core Droid Trooper unit, bolster 2. His gun's only red and a white. It's worth noting that direct is maybe worth a little bit more here than in a clone army, I think. Kyle, what do you think here?
I think hot, but I think his primary benefit is that he's 55 points. Previously, this guy is literally 120 points cheaper than the next most expensive Separatist commander. So he really opens up list building options just by virtue of being so cheap, because Separatists don't have a support commander until now, basically. Bolster on him is fine. It's a way to get surge tokens to droids, which is always useful. You're definitely using that more with this guy than you are with the clone commander, because if he dodges or aims, his comrades can't spend those. So you're doing bolster with him. He direct is good, clearly, for droids that want to have a way to kick off that order chain. I don't know that it's that much better than just buying like an HQ uplink on a B1 unit, but it's nice that you don't have to refresh it. As long as he's close enough to where you want to start your chain, you don't really have to think about it that much every turn. So it's nice in that it's like essentially free. His offensive and defensive capabilities. I mean, this guy's 4 health and he's got a white save with no surge. So if he's rolling attack or defense dice, I think that you've probably done something wrong. This guy needs to be like pissing on a wall, Krennic style, for most of the game. I did use him recently to hilariously tie up a unit on key positions facing some clones at the end of the game. But other than that, yeah, he's you don't want this guy in combat, but he opens up list building a lot. So hot.
Zach, what do you think? Is he like Krennic, that he needs to chill behind a wall.
Yeah, he's basically a 55-point robot version of Director Krennic that's arguably better because of what he enables. Not necessarily a better unit, but what it enables. Because basically what you're doing is you probably drop the need for needing probably 2 copies of HQ uplink in a droid list. You probably bring 1. And you can fan out that other HQ uplink unit probably to like the outside of where your T series is. I'm assuming, Kyle, you probably know more, but like, let's say you have like a ball or like a line, like you have your T series like probably in the middle or like kind of like towards the outside of one, and like your HQ uplink over here, and you're now basically like insulating your army with a way to get them orders to daisy chain. So for 55 points, you're getting, aggressive tactics light with bolster 2, because you're probably going to use that every turn. Of course, it's timing dependent. It's not order dependent, so it's not as good, right? You're getting an HQ uplink basically for free. And you're getting a way to like bring droid lists up to like 12, 13, like 14 activations. Now, I'm not saying that these like 13 and 14 activation lists are necessarily like going to be as good as they are on paper, because usually a list that doesn't have like a focus piece, or not like a focus piece, but like when you're thinned out that much, they struggle. Okay. But the fact that these lists exist make me sick. So in that case, yeah, he's scorching hot. It makes me sick. It is what it is.
It also means you can take Maul or Cad Bane without having to also take Dooku or Grievous.
Totally. It opens up like a ton, and it's good. I'd argue that Field Commander also opened up bringing, but that's the thing. You'd also need to bring in AAT.
You still need to bring in that situation a tank, which is 170 points.
So it eliminates the need for expensive units to build some stuff. I'm assuming it's probably good to like bring him with like triple staps and like a bunch of B1s and fan out from there, is my guess.
Yeah, I think I'm on team definitely hot. I think probably because he mainly enables like the CIS operatives to actually like be in the game, which I think is nice. This sort of feels like maybe we needed him before we got the operatives to some extent. Like running CAD with these like high price heroes is really tough. Same thing I think with Maul a little bit. It's tough to have multiple focus pieces in your list and do well. And I think that this really enables that. Even the AAT like operative lists, I think we're trying to do too much a lot of the time. This will at least allow people to do it more conventionally. So I'm on Team Hot. So let's take a look at their 2-pip for the generic commander, because we've already seen the 1-pip, which is Mechanized Incursion. We have Orbital Strike. It is very similar to the Republic generic. It is 1 commander or heavy unit that you get to issue an order to, separatist only. Once this round, at the end of the activation of a friendly commander, droid trooper unit, or friendly field commander unit, it may perform an attack using the following weapon: 4 to infinity, 2 red, 2 black, suppressive, and immune deflect. It's basically maximum firepower from a droid trooper unit commander of your choice. Kyle, what do you think? Hot or not?
So I'm actually going to go with tepid on this one. It is not nearly as much of a, in my opinion, like an auto include as the clone one, simply because you're much less likely to have a situation where you want to only give an order to your T-Series. Now, clearly, if you're running like double tank field commander, this is an upgrade, straight upgrade. And you have to take it if you're not running an operative, right? Because you got to take push in this. But if you're running an operative, I think you're probably still going to want push so that you can make sure that they get an order. Unless you set up some situation like with Maul where you relay the droid chain to his droids and then give him an order. But in practice, that's not always possible. And in that situation, at least, I like push for the flexibility. So I think it's a good in lists where you only have like a T series and then a bunch of droids, because who else are you going to give the order to? And then of course you have to take it. But it's fine. It's 4 dice. It's like a slightly worse max firepower. It doesn't have the impact. it's red, red, black, black, and the T series does not have surge crit like Veers does. It's suppressive, which is cute, but it's a free attack in a list where you have just the T series. But I think it's probably not making the cut over push in a list where you have a T series and another character.
I am going to say that this is a not card disguised as a hot card. And what I mean by that is that you read it and you think it's hot. And the more I'm sitting here and thinking about it, I clearly thought out the GAR ones a little bit more because I played Republic, right? So the droid ones, I read them and, I thought about them, but it's not in the sense of how I'm thinking about it right now. And when I first read the card, I'm like, oh, that's kind of hot. And it's suppressive, another attack. It's good in AAT list because you're getting you can basically barrage units, and also you basically get 3 attacks out of this, right? Basically in a turn, which is pretty good. But how it functions with the army, I'm not sure that it's really that great. For reasons you kind of brought up, Kyle, is that you might be ordering something you really don't want to be, or you might want to order something you can't actually order, that's like a non-droid, or something's out of range for a coordinate, which really shouldn't happen most of the time anyways, but it's possible. So yeah, I'm going to go with not here, believe it or not.
Yeah, I'm actually on Team Not as well. I actually think one of the main advantages of Maximum Firepower is the fact that it's a 1-pip and that you can kind of take that shot before your opponent can do anything a lot of the times. If you play Orbital Strike, you're not guaranteed priority. And I think that, sometimes the thing that you might want to shoot at just kind of walks away or walks behind the building or something. And I think that even Max Firepower, Max Firepower I don't even really think is that good anymore, personally. So I don't think this card is very good either. The 3-pip is Roger Roger, which is kind of a classic name in and of itself. Maybe that makes the card good. 3 Droid Troopers, Separatist only. When a unit is issued an order using this card, it gains either 1 dodge or 1 surge token. Pretty generic effect. Kyle, what do you think? Hot or not?
Hot. Free dodge tokens are great. I don't see... I can't think of almost any situation where you take a surge over a dodge. But yeah, it's 3 Droid Troopers, so that's a little bit restrictive. But if you're running it with Maul, you can give an order to his probes, who you should give a relay to, and then they can relay the order to Maul. It's actually not super clear if Maul then... he at least gets a face-up. It's not super clear if he gets a dodge. For Invader, at least, we've ruled that he does not, because with the comms relay, the order comes from the probes and not from the card. But regardless, even in that situation, you can still get 2 free dodges on 2 other droid units and then still get an order on Maul. So I'm going to say hot for this one. I think it's a straight upgrade over Assault most of the time.
Yeah, it's hot. To kind of circle back on your Invader talk, the reason a lot of us voted, for the way we did, because we had a big discussion on it, is that I think the intention of the card is that it's using this card as in the 3 Droid Troopers you order get those dodge, or the effects of the dodge token and surge token. Obviously this game is not really built as rules, intended versus raw, rules is written. So rules is intended versus rules is written. You typically go by raw. It's actually unclear raw. We went through the comms relay discussion and raw kind of points the same way as intended, but it's not as clear. It's a little muddy. So I'm kind of glad we're kind of house ruling it for now. Either way, it's hot. You just take Assault out, rip it in half for all I care, and just throw that in there. It's doing what you want. And like Kyle said, most of the time you'll have a way to get an order on Maul or, CAD or something. You'll find ways to get orders somewhere with relays and stuff like that. You can kind of build around it. Especially if you're bringing the T series, right? And you don't need that uplink, the second uplink, you can bring relay somewhere along the lines, right? And do it that way if you needed to, whether it's on the probe droids or on a B1 unit, however you do it, there's ways to do it. So yeah, it's hot.
I'm at Cam not on this card, guys. I don't know. I actually am firm not on this card. I don't think it's very good. I don't think 3 dodge tokens on B1s is overly great in comparison to having like absolute order control when I want it. I understand you can sort of build for it. I don't think you can. I don't know. I would personally rather have the flexibility of having assault in my hand. If like my uplink squad gets sniped, you still have kind of like, I don't know. You have like ways out and stuff. Or if you're like comms relay unit, it gets sniped out of your mall stuff after it like messes around. I think that there are enough issues with situations like that where I think that the upside of this card is kind of fairly marginal. Overall is how I feel about it. In any case, let's move on to the EV series medical droid. This is a 14-point droid trooper personnel upgrade. It is treat 1, capacity 2, non-combatant for 14 points. I'm gonna start going around the circle the other way now. Zach, what do you think? Hot or not?
If you're bringing multiple characters, such as like a Dooku Maul list or like a Dooku Grievous list or like a Maul cat, I know there's all sorts of different things you can do now with the T series, right? I think if you're bringing multiple characters that are, their wounds mean a lot in your army, I say probably find the way to get them into the list. Other than that, I think it's a not. It's like I just think even in that case, I still don't know if you take them, believe it or not. Like, I think so. That's why it's a not. I think it is a very specific niche thing that if you're bringing multiple characters, you bring in a droid list, which I don't know if you're bringing multiple characters in a droid list at this point. So I'm going with not in this case.
Kyle, what do you think? Do you also think not?
I also think not, although, I think there's basically one additional circumstance where you take one of these, and that's just in a solo Dooku list, which I think is still good. Dooku's wounds are so valuable, and now you can give him 2 more wounds for 14 points. So to me, that feels like a bargain. Dooku is extremely likely to be near your B1 line because that's how he operates. So he's, it allows you to be a little bit more aggressive with Dooku. In games where I get like back to capsules and supply drop with Dooku, I get all super excited because being able to be a little more aggressive with Dooku is awesome. So I will say that I think if you're running like a solo Dooku list, I could definitely see this. But outside of that context, the targets are so limited. Even if you're running just like a Maul T-Series list, Maul is very rarely going to be close enough to your B1s to get good mileage out of this. So, yeah, I think this is like a Dooku-only upgrade. I think it's great in that context, but I think it's pretty untakeable in almost every other one.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is definitely like a Dooku-only card for the most part. Maybe Grievous, I don't know. He's a little bit more aggressive. So in a similar vein, we have the PK series worker droid, who is the mechanic version of for our CIS team here. Droid Trooper only, repair 1, capacity 2, non-combatant, 12 points. Zach, what do you think for? I know you have strong feelings on this one, so why don't you take us away?
All right. Context here is I play against a lot of AATs, or I had been. I haven't played in a little while, okay? But a lot of people that like my locals, like my local guy plays double AAT or single AAT pretty much every time that I play him. So I'm used to playing against the AAT. So maybe my thoughts are skewed. But I think it's hot because the AAT is a very, very, very good unit. And now while shooting an AAT is not necessarily an ideal plan going into a game, a lot of the times it's actually all you have to shoot. And if you're playing against 2 of them, taking one of them out is somewhat important for the landscape of the game, even if it takes a while. Especially like I noticed that a lot of double AAT lists, basically you can bring a big bid and they can kind of dictate the battlefield. And I couldn't even tell you how many times I've played KP against double AAT. It's like the most infuriating thing. So again, maybe I'm skewed. So now you have these 2 tanks that are hard to kill as it is, and you're adding wounds to them for 12 points, which is not a lot of points in that context. So I think it's hot just because I think the AAT is a very, very good unit. And adding extra wounds to it is really good.
Kyle, do you echo those sentiments?
I'm actually going to say not. I do think you're probably still taking one or two of them in like a double AAT list. And you can also certainly run them with BX Droid Sab strikes, and I think it's pretty interesting. But outside of those two contexts, other factions can heal their heavies for 50% less than this. 8 or 9 points. So I don't know. I think it's fine.
It's easy. It's also like those heavies are not as good as the AAT.
Sure, and I think that's what justifies the 50% premium there in the context of an AAT list. And clearly, it's nice that this is essentially your medic for droid troopers. But right now, outside of like BX droid strikes, I can't think of a droid trooper that this is bang for your buck on. Even like B2s, who are valuable models, they each have 2 wounds, and those individual wounds are not. Like you can just pay 12 points and get another B2 who has 2 more wounds and also throws dice. So, or 13 points, whatever it is now. So I don't know. I think it's fine. I wouldn't really take it outside the context of like a double AAT list or a BX Droid Daxis Sab strike list.
Yeah, I think I'm mostly on team not here. I think if the Separatists ever get like a common like red saving droid unit in their armies, like we could see this change, I think, pretty dramatically. But as it stands, I think that I don't know. I want this to be good, but I don't think it is. All right, so our last personnel slot is a little bit unique in that all of the droid units have comm slots basically for free, or B1s do at least. So they got this Viper Recon droid. Is kind of their unique personnel thing in place of a comms technician. It is range 1 to 2, 2 white dice. It has action observe 2, which chooses an enemy unit at range 1 to 3 and in line of sight. It gains 2 observation tokens. If you're unfamiliar with how observation tokens work, basically you can spend an observation token on a unit you're shooting at to reroll a die. So this is basically the, observe 2 is roughly the equivalent of an aim token, except you can use it on any unit that shoots at the unit. And it's 8 points. So, Zach, what do you think? Hot or not?
This is a huge not for me. So for 8 points, it's kind of a mirage. You're like, it's not that bad for 8 points. But then you look into it. It's range 1 to 2, which, as we know in this game, is very tough. And the observe, if you look at the arrow, like you pointed out, is an actual action. It's not a free action. And I just don't see a case where observe is at what, range 1 to 3. So it's not contributing to the attack until you're at range 2, right? And it's observing from 1 to 3. But it's costing you an action. I just don't think that's feasible for me, even though it's 8 points only. I hope someone can prove me wrong, but it's not for me.
Kyle?
Also not. Zach already touched on it, but the attack range is really awkward because that observe is an action, which means you're doing this instead of something like aiming, which most of the time is going to do the same thing. And he's not throwing dice at range 3. So even if you're like, well, I'll just take him in a B2 unit because those guys are range 2 anyway. Well, he's 1 wound. It's printed on his card. So he doesn't get the benefit of the 2 wounds from being in a B2 unit. His dice are worse than a B2 model. And you still have to take an action to observe, which you don't usually have on a range 2 B2 unit. So, or any B2 unit. Even if you take the HA, you want to be recovering probably with that action. So I'm also going to go with not.
I'm going firm hot on this. The model is dope. He's like this flying droid through the air.
Oh, the
His
model's
legs
great.
are like whipping behind him.
Yeah.
I will take 6 of these all day long just to put them on the table. I don't know. Like this is what I wish Dio looked like.
Yeah. No question.
And I think this is actually what Dio is technically. I think Dio may be a Viper Recon droid. They look very similar, at least. But this like action pose is tremendously amazing. And for that reason, I think it is super hot. If only because of the friction of the air as he flies quickly forward to get to range 2. So that's where I'm coming down on it. He's pretty bad in combat.
Can we talk about, though, real quick,
Yeah.
how awesome all the models in this pack look? I mean, you got the disco bot, right, who I think is the medical droid, right? He's got the turntable and the boom mic. You got the repair droid, who I love, like he's like caressing a B1 head. You know?
Yeah, for the longest time, I thought that. So the first time I saw this pack, I totally thought that it was I thought he was the medical droid because I thought he looked like the robots from Padme's delivery room, and I thought he was holding a baby for the longest time.
That would be an awkward modeling choice.
Well, it would, and the guy that is supposed to be the medic looks like he's like an auto mechanic. I don't know. I was confused.
I would not want to be treated by that medic.
I
Yeah.
think that medic is from the episode where Grievous is.
It is.
Yeah.
But he's got like I mean, I joke about the turntable. I think it's more like a buzzsaw. You know, I mean, like some robot comes up to me with a buzzsaw and it's like, where does it hurt? You know, where would you like me to operate? I'd be like, is there someone else?
Well,
maybe that my insurance covers.
Right? He kind of had to need to be like a hybrid medical droid, right? For Grievous.
Yeah,
Grievous is half machine, half humanoid, whatever he was. I don't even know. Yeah. So I guess that accounts for the buzzsaw. But yeah, if that was Dooku he was working on, Dooku would probably like chop his arm off before doing it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I love that. I know people don't like it. I love how the T series looks.
Oh,
it perfectly captures. Yeah, they're fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
No, totally.
It perfectly captures. Like, this is what they look like in the show. They're supposed to be kind of these comical, hapless villains in the show, and that's what it looks like. It's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, they're super great models. The team keeps on getting better and better and better, and yeah, they're awesome. It's worth noting that the Republic ones are cool too, but they're just more clones, so it's kind of hard to be like super excited about it. But there are some sweet poses in there. The clones, there's one guy, the hologram one is probably my favorite.
Yeah, the hockey puck, the hollow puck, whatever. Totally. Yeah, hollow puck. That's what it's called, right?
I think so. That's definitely my favorite. I am a little bit saddened that there's another kneeling models. I hate kneeling models. I don't know. That's a thing I have. I feel like by the way Zach's shaking his head, I'm not the only one.
Hate them. They just put you into an awkward position because then you got to decide if you want to glue them to the base and paint around them on the base. Do I not put them in the base, paint them, and then glue them to the base? Kneeling models and running models just like piss me off. Whatever.
I'm cool with them. I have no objection to kneeling or running models.
Oh my man, running models are just a pain in the ass.
I just like my army to be the same height. I don't care so much about the running thing, but
fair.
I like my Space Marines to be like
that's fair.
All about the same size.
I will say the grenade guy for Death Troopers, whenever I would play Death Troopers, he was always the first guy to die. I'd be like, sorry, grenade guy, you're out.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. And with the clones, I use the running guy because I won't, but I hate that a lot of the Z6s are kneeling. In any case, so I think that's all the specialists. Do you guys have anything to add about the specialists generally? I think overall both of these packs are pretty hot.
primarily because of the commanders.
Yeah,
And
totally.
yeah, and Vigilance, which we'll talk about next week. But yeah, I agree. I think they are hot. The clone commander in particular is just amazing, like in his own right. And then for the separatists, the T series opens up your list building in a way that has not been possible before, because he's the first actual support commander. So
Is it just me, or is Zach super green at the moment?
Zach's like his lights are out and he's got these crazy like light up headphones. You just showing off like your RGB headphones or something over there, Zach? What's going on?
I have no idea what's going on right now.
No, hold on. Something popped up on my computer and it's probably like greening me out. Am I back?
You are super green right now. I mean, you're super
Really?
green for me.
He looks fine to me.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
I'm fine on my end.
I don't know. It like I'm sure that you guys will see it on the recording, and our viewers will see your screen just turned lime green.
So it looked like my clone troopers. That's all. I was just sending.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's. You guys got any final thoughts?
Yeah, these packs are just really good.
They're super good, and I want people to be excited about this. Like, I know that people can jump to like, oh my god, the sky is falling very quickly, but I think that these are good. These are definitely better for the game than they were like 2 months ago when this clone commander could have taken a standby token, right? Like,
Sure.
you know,
yeah.
like I think you know, they're both of them are definitely good, but I'm not sure that they're like better than Veers or Leia when they came out, you know.
Right, and I think I don't want to say they messed up the original specialist packs, but you know, the original Clone Wars commanders are basically taxes if you want to take an operative and you need a commander, right? They're not like full taxes because clearly they still do stuff, but there was not a context with with Civil War lists where you would take, you know, a rebel officer or an imperial officer commander alongside another commander.
I would bring back many moons ago the RPQ I won like a long time ago when they were still RPQs before they were called primes. I basically paid a 55-point strict tax for my Luke Sabine list.
Yeah, and there are a couple situations like the Tauntaun list with Luke did the same thing.
My point is, it didn't feel good.
Sure.
Right.
You know what I mean? If he had direct, it would have felt great.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think you could print direct core Republic or Empire and core Rebel Trooper on both of those commanders and not change their points costs, and it would be more than fair. You know, I don't. You know, there's some like short trooper and veteran synergy, but I don't think that's a big deal. You know, I don't know.
And some of those original command cards were just outright bad, like the original version of Covert Observation.
Oh, it was real bad, you know, and like the Imperial 1-pip is still not very good. You know, I think that there's a lot of things that in the early stages of the game have not aged well. I think the commanders are like one of them, right? I do think the Imperial one is actually kind of fine.
It's fine.
You know,
I guess my point is, you know, it's easy to look at these and be like, power creep, you know. But
see, that's not why I've been miffed for like a week. I've been miffed, and this is just straight up honesty here. Okay, I'm going straight honest. I'm miffed because it enables what is fundamentally not great for the game, and what I mean by that is that it enables gun lines. And it enables gun lines and gun lines and gun lines.
I think that's true of the clone commander. I don't know that the T series is.
Yeah, I should say that more for the clones than the T series. But as someone that plays clones and that likes to play Kenobi, it enables the other side of the list building on Republic that I try to ignore. But like, how do I ignore it now when this dude's here? I
would make the argument that this guy goes into almost any Jedi list almost as much as he goes into any Rex list.
Yeah, no,
you know?
what I do is take my Rex Nobi list. I take Rex out of the list. Now that sounds crazy, but I slot this guy in there, and now I can probably afford 5s or other stuff in the list because I'm shaving 40 points, 35 points, whatever it is.
Yeah.
40 points with upgrades and stuff like that. Like I'm easily just taking him and putting him in where Rex was and getting the full benefits from it. So
with Obi-Wan, you're not straight up replacing
Obi-Wan.
Rex in a Rex list, but
right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in an Obi-Wan build, I just take Rex out and put this guy in there, and it's gonna feel fine. It's gonna probably feel really good, but I just don't like the fact that it full blown enables the gun line side of the game. That's my myth.
I would go as far as saying that this guy is probably better in a Kenobi list or an Anakin list than a Rex list.
Oh yeah.
At least now, like, you know, if he could take a standby token, I'd feel very different about that. But I think we're not in that world anymore, and I think that this guy's like, oh, here's an aim, here's a dodge, like that's fine. Like you're still gonna take him, but I think that he does more in a Kenobi list or an Anakin list that you didn't have access to before, right?
Yeah, you lose clankers, but losing clankers is fine in that context, in my opinion.
Well,
because those lists are not set up to abuse it like a Rex list would be anyway.
Yeah.
I also would argue that most people do not play Rex in lightsaber lists. Generally, I think you're a little bit unique in that.
I do, and I've had good success with it.
I know. I
have a hard time putting Rex away, to be honest.
That's fair. I do think that they become a little bit more samey, but I do think that you're putting these in lightsaber lists because he's a cheap, really good unit that lets you the rest of your list outside of the lightsaber function a lot better, right?
Totally.
Rex is already doing a lot of this, right? You already are maxing AT like 4 out of 6 turns in Rex lists, and it's a little bit harder to do with Kenobi or Anakin specifically because he's a little bit more order hungry. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not to like, just real quick. Oh no, direct is core trooper link. Never mind.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, can you direct and comms relay to Anakin and get around?
You could. I don't know.
You totally could.
This seems like more effort than it's worth.
To get around what is the question?
To get around the thaw card.
I don't believe so.
No.
That's just any source cannot give it.
Like no source can give him anything.
Yeah, Anakin may not receive orders. Period. Is the thaw card.
We're good.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure if there's like a way you could do that with, because direct is an order not tied to a command card, so I wasn't sure if you could play games with that. But
yeah, I see what you're saying, Zach. I think it's possible that maybe eventually we'll determine that the clone commander is a little bit too good insofar as like you're taking him in every clone list and he just kind of takes what clones already do and just makes them do it better.
It's 3 points more than a phase 1 naked unit.
Right. Whereas, so from a like list building perspective, that's not really that interesting. So I kind of see what you're saying there. Whereas the T series actually opens up like a different way to play separatists, which I think is interesting. But yeah, the clone commander just kind of takes the clone word and turns it up in any list that you have clones, which is every Republic list. So
that's just something I have to get used to, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm aware of that, but it's still like one of those things where I'm just like,
yeah, Commander Shad.
I mean, I do think that it's possible he could be 65 points and should be. I think it remains to be seen. I think especially with all of the points adjustments we've had to Republic and no tournaments to like verify whether those points adjustments did anything or were too much or whatever, it's kind of hard to know where to land on this guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, we'll see. And that's why I said it may be eventually that we determine that maybe he needs to be a little more expensive. But yeah. Anyway, I'm excited about both of these. I am full disclosure. I bought at least 5 Separatist Specialist packs. I'm not actually sure. I think it is. I ended up with only 4 B2s. So I'm not there are 4 B2 lists that I think are better than the 6 B2 lists.
I want everyone to remember this moment when they call me a degenerate. That Kyle is buying 6 specialist packs.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, if anyone needs extra copies of Vigilance, you let me know.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Anyway, we are the Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Kyle.
I'm Mike.
I'm Zach.
And we'll see you next week.